Hey friends, Andy here. How you doing? Good to see ya. Let's face it, hackers are jerks.
Hack the planet! Hack the planet!
Every day people fall victim to them, and the fallout can be intense. Imagine your life savings vanishing in the space of a few minutes, or having horrible things posted from your social media accounts. These kind of scenarios happen, and they're getting more common. Hackers are getting increasingly sophisticated, and companies that store our personal information are way more vulnerable to attacks than we want to think. Today I'm going to talk about SIM swapping, which is a way hackers can gain access to your phone and, by extension, your bank accounts, your cryptocurrency accounts, your email, your social media, pretty much anything that they want. And unfortunately, traditional cell phone companies aren't really doing a whole lot to protect you. But it's not all bad news, and I'll be talking about the steps you can take to protect yourself and a cell phone service provider that is stepping up to the plate to provide extra security. We'll start with a quick spoiler. Efani is a new cell phone provider that makes it exponentially more difficult for hackers to gain access to your phone and all the personal information that goes with it. If you are serious about protecting yourself from hackers, you should really consider it. If you want the details about how SIM swaps work, how you can protect yourself, and what Efani is doing to combat hackers, stay tuned for the details. And of course, if you find this video helpful, it would be great if you would click that like button and consider subscribing to my channel. I cover all things money and would love it if you stuck around. So what is a SIM swap exactly? SIM swapping, also known as a port out scam, SIM splitting, or SIM jacking, is when a hacker is able to take over your phone by moving information from the SIM card currently in your phone to a SIM card they control. Once the hackers have control of the phone number, they ask companies like Google to send them a temporary login code via text message to the victim's phone. Once they have control of the email account, it's generally just a hop, skip, and a jump to getting your bank accounts, crypto exchange accounts, pretty much anything that they want. And if they're feeling particularly evil, they may also take over your email and social media accounts while they're at it and send out messages that look like they're coming from you. There are a number of ways that SIM swapping can happen. Plenty of people have been SIM swapped by hackers who simply call their mobile carrier pretending to be them and convince the operator to activate a new SIM card. There have also been situations in which the hack is an inside job conducted by cell phone company employees, or in which employees were bribed to turn over personal identification numbers to hackers. And finally, when hackers go big, they really go big. Just recently, T-Mobile fell victim to an attack in which hackers were able to access names, addresses, dates of birth, social security numbers, phone numbers, and personal identification numbers, PINs, for possibly as many as 50 million customers. This kind of exposure puts virtually all those people at risk of being hacked, either by SIM swapping or something else. You probably heard about at least a few SIM swapping cases. In 2018, Michael Turpin, an entrepreneur and investor who co-founded the first angel fund for Bitcoin enthusiasts, was the victim of a SIM swap that resulted in the theft of $24 million in cryptocurrency. He alleges that low-level AT&T employees were bribed to give over his information to a cyber gang. One of the best known SIM swapping scams didn't actually involve money. It was carried out in 2019 against Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, whose Twitter account was hacked after his phone was taken over. Hackers somehow convinced Dorsey's phone carrier to swap SIM cards and went on to tweet offensive messages in Dorsey's name for 15 minutes before he got control over his phone again. And just this year, a group of hackers were arrested after they SIM swapped dozens of celebrities over the course of 2020, stealing over $100 million as well as taking over various social media accounts. Those were all cases involving fairly high-profile people, but don't think that you're not at risk just because you're not famous or don't have a particularly high net worth. SIM swapping is on the rise and anyone can be a victim. If you think your phone is safe, it's probably not. A 2020 study by a team of computer scientists at Princeton found that all 5 major carriers, AT&T, T-Mobile, TracFone, US Mobile, and Verizon, use insecure authentication methods. The truth is that cell phone providers could prevent SIM swapping pretty easily if they were willing to make the swapping process more difficult. But they're not willing to, or at least not yet, because they don't want to inconvenience that many customers. My guess is that eventually they will start taking steps to prevent SIM swapping, but it will take a lot more people getting hacked and losing money before that happens. So how does the average cell phone user protect themselves against SIM swapping? Realistically, it's very difficult to protect yourself 100%, but there are a few steps you can take to make yourself a little safer. First, be careful about the type and amount of information you share about yourself publicly. It's often pretty easy to obtain things like someone's date of birth or their mother's maiden name, and you don't even have to break the law to do it. Use a security PIN for your cell phone account if your provider makes that option available. When possible, use an authentication app like Google Authenticator or Authy or 1Password instead of using SMS text. You can take authentication one step further by using a physical authentication method such as a YubiKey, which plugs into your computer. That way, a hacker would have to steal the physical authenticator in order to access your second authentication. When possible, store your cryptocurrency in hardware wallets. Whenever you can, try not to have your phone number associated with financial and social media accounts. And finally, if you notice your phone has suddenly stopped working for no reason, contact your mobile carrier and financial institutions immediately. Unfortunately, too many companies don't offer options besides texting for two-factor authentication. So what do you do when these steps aren't enough? Well, let me introduce you to Efani. Efani was founded by Hasib Awan, who was first SIM swapped in 2018. After getting SIM swapped 3 more times, he decided that his mobile provider couldn't be trusted to keep his information safe, and he decided to start his own cell service company. Efani is essentially a cell phone service. It replaces your existing monthly cell phone plan, but with some extra security-minded twists, including 11-layer proprietary military-grade client layer authentication, a mandatory 14 days cooling off period before SIM swapping. Any major changes must be approved by multiple staff members and run through a rigorous manual process. Any major change requires a notarized letter of intent, which is verified by Efani's legal team. Data access is limited to a single IP with no access outside of the United States. Your phone number isn't attached to your personal information. And of course, they offer 24/7 customer support. Basically, Efani makes SIM swapping a real pain in the butt. Of course, this might also work against you if you ever lose your SIM card and you're in a hurry to replace it. But that's sort of the point. You're trading convenience for security. Because SIM swaps have been enabled by cell phone company employees, Efani puts extra attention into who it hires. They do that by conducting stringent background checks and extensive training for every staff member. They claim their screening process is the equivalent of a top-level security clearance. They also pay their employees well above the industry average. They do this in an effort to decrease the appeal of bribes. And lastly, they do this by monitoring their staff through CCTV and other means. Efani also offers cybersecurity insurance if your money is stolen from your online accounts as a result of SIM hacking while you're on the Efani plan. Efani will cover your losses up to $5 million. Efani claims to have a 100% success rate, that literally no customer has been SIM swapped while on their plan. Of course, it's still a very young company, and that could change as technology and hackers evolve, but so far, it all sounds pretty fine and dandy. But are they a good cell phone provider? Well, the service runs over AT&T's network, so you should have coverage anywhere that AT&T has coverage. You get unlimited minutes, text, and data in the US, Canada, and Mexico. You also get 5G ultra wideband performance, Wi-Fi calling, and mobile hotspot. And finally, you can get international data roaming if your phone is eSIM compatible, but you will have to reach out to Efani for help setting this up each time you go abroad. There's a risk-free 60-day guarantee. Try it, and if you don't like it, you can get your money back within 60 days. So let's talk about the downsides. At $99 per account, Efani is about 40% more expensive than the average cell phone bill. And there are no family plans, although they do offer you and each family member that you invite 1 free month. Besides the expense though, no other real complaints. Efani is stepping up where major cell phone providers aren't. So the question is Efani worth it for you? Honestly, if you've got a lot of money or if your public image is really important to you, Efani at $99 a month is probably a no-brainer. Even if your net worth isn't super high, it may still be a good investment. Like I said, regular Joes like us are increasingly falling victim to SIM swapping. Given Efani's 60-day guarantee, there's really no reason to at least give it a shot. Remember though, that even if you get Efani, it's still worth taking all the other steps to protect your phone and your accounts. Technology keeps evolving and hackers keep evolving with it. So the more you can do, the safer you are. Unfortunately, it's up to us as individuals to keep keep up with the times and do everything we can to keep ourselves safe. If you found this review helpful, then please like the video and subscribe for more money-related content on my channel. While you're at it, follow me on Twitter. I post original content there every single day. And if you've ever used Efani for yourself, please share your experience down in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.